Hi everybody, this is Adam from REH and this is our 10th episode on the YouTube platform, and hopefully you're enjoying the videos, hopefully they're helpful. This one is all about, well, hot water, diesel versus LPG, and the homemade units, or you can even buy them like this, versus the diesel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the pros and cons of diesel versus LPG. Then I'm going to show you how I made mine and the way I've configured it, and also give you a full breakdown on costs. And yeah, there you go. And basically a blueprint on how to make yours if you want to. So let's crack on. We're going to work from the least important, basically, issues to the big ones, pros and cons versus diesel. So let's start. Warranty. Warranty with, obviously you buy a diesel unit from the supplier, you're going to get a warranty for 1 or 2 years, and but they ultimately are going to be servicing, they're going to break, and us predominantly all being plumbers, or you guys, because I'm not a plumber, I'm a bush mechanic with no official plumbing training. You get, I think it's 7 years on that, on the unit itself, then 3 years parts and labour, and you get 2 years on the pump. Now, I don't know if it's invalid if you use it like this, but I'm sure you can make up an address and rip it off and say it came from number 22 Constant Street or whatever. Don't, I didn't tell you to do that, but you did that. So yeah, it probably does, being plumbers, you can work the system in your favour. So yeah, anyway, let's probably move on from that. Exhaust. These are really quiet units. The diesel, sometimes if they're not burning off, the diesel can blow lots of smoke. We've had problems on sensitive sites like universities, so sometimes diesels can be a bit noisy as well. These are really quiet, so the LPG is probably one on both those parts. Next point is, when you make it yourself, you can get little Brucey bonuses like a hot and cold feed. I've got USB charging ports around the back. If you do that with the manufacturer's diesel units, you're going to probably invalid the warranty. So yeah, I wouldn't be touching them. They come stock standard and you get what you get. So at the minute it's 3 for LPG, and it seems like it's going great for the LPG. Yeah, but well, let's see. So we've got danger issues. LPG is quite dangerous. It's heavier than air. So don't put it in the back of the truck and think a whirlybird is going to save you. It won't. If you have a leak on this unit and it's in the back of your truck with a whirlybird on, it doesn't matter. It's going to fill the whole truck up. You go over a bump, a bit of metal is going to create a spark, and you are going to be the next nuclear bomb, because you'll be dead. So always store them outside, underneath, bolted against the chassis, and I'd make sure it's off and locked up. And probably, if you can get a lock through the handle as well, I'd do that. Diesel, obviously, much safer. It's a lot higher igniting point than petrol, so it's even safer than petrol. So, yeah, diesel wins on the safety front. Manoeuvrability, the diesels are quite heavy. This one here, if I was a better engineer, I probably could have made it a bit thinner. It does fit through door frames, but it's very manoeuvrable. I can pick that up by myself. Most of the diesel units are 2-person carries. So again, LPG wins. But the next one is the presets. This is preset to 50, and that's it. No return temperature. The diesels, you've got a digital return temperature. You've got to a degree accuracy on your outlet. You can go to 80, 60, 47, 33. You've got full control, and you can visually see the return. So that's a massive plus for the diesel. And now we're getting to the big one, which is flow rates. This here will give you 26 litres, as it says, with a temperature rise of 25 degrees, and it actually only gives you 16 litres at 40 degree temperature rise. So currently the water temperature is roughly about 10 degrees from the tap. This will only give you 50 degrees. It'll give you 16 litres a minute, which equates to 960 litres per hour at 50, whereas the diesel will give you 2,700 litres per hour at 80 degrees. Now, I have never had a domestic property that has not the water pressure and flow and the diesel's not been able to cope. Whatever you throw at these diesel units, it'll give it you back basically, and it'll just keep going and going and going. So if you've got big shots and you're on a cold day, diesel by far is the hands down winner. And to that end, I think the diesel is the winner. Now, I've just made this all well and good, but if I had the money, I'd just buy diesel, and I am going to purchase a diesel in the not too distant future. But this is just to get me going. So my verdict is diesel's the winner, and it's mainly because the flow rate, your control over the output temperature, and a visual digital display on the return temperature. Those are the three big ones. These are going to hinder you. So if you're starting out in the game and you're just investing in a truck, I would not recommend starting with this, because me as an experienced reliner, I know lots of tricks that I can do to negate its shortfalls. I know the temperatures, I know how to cook liners, but if you're just starting out, I would definitely advise you to go get a proper diesel boiler and start out, and then further down the track, if you're getting lots of work and you're getting difficult access sites, then you can make one of these in your downtime when the shots are in. Super simple, dead easy to make, but I can bet you'll probably still be using your diesel, and this is a backup if your diesel breaks or you've got a difficult access site. So yeah, my verdict is diesel's a winner, but these are very handy and they can win on the day. So yeah, diesel. So this is the unit I've made, the LPG unit. Therman 26R gas continuous flow LPG with a preset of 50 degrees. It's coupled to a Bianco pumps, and it actually has max temperature of 60, which is quite high. Sometimes we're only at 50 or 35. This one's 60 degrees, so that's good. It's all done in 20mm press fit copper, and I've got a cold tap and a hot tap for washing your hands. The pump's got a brain on it, so it'll actually stop if it's not getting enough water or there's an obstruction or a kink in the hose, so you don't burn your pump. That's good. Standard hose tap comes through here, gets hot, then comes out, then to your drum, goes around the system, comes back, and comes back in here, and we continue and continue. Now, hopefully with the brain on, if I shut this off and that pump stops, I then can wash my hands, do what I need to do, and it's simply a case of opening these back up, and then it starts up again. So that's quite handy. It's measuring at 600 milli, so it gets through the door frames. It's all in profile, nothing's sticking out. None of the copper actually sticks out further than the frame or the front of this, so in theory it should be quite protected. Cold tap, hot tap, and then the LPG feed goes through here, electric through the back, and then just have a quick gander. It's mounted on marine ply with an aluminium backing, and then it's just a case of simple. I probably could have done a slightly better job on the back. Electrics come up. I've got a 4-way LPG connection here. I'm going to make a checker plate box so the LPG can go in a little bath of water so it doesn't condense and freeze if it's under heavy load. And I'm actually going to do a little yellow umbrella there so I can have this shielded by the rain, and maybe put some gloves and stuff like that on. But yeah, that's my LPG unit, and that's it really. It's really quite light. If I need to replace it, just undo the unions on the top, unit comes off. Same with the pump. Yeah, I'm happy with it. and let's see how we go. And I'll just go through the costings with you in the next little slide, and then if you have any questions or want to make one, my line's always free. Give us a call, and I'll tell you what I found difficult, found easy. So let's go through the costings and see how we turned out. So we've come to the end of the show, or the episode, shall I say. And one thing I didn't mention when we did the pros and cons for diesel and LPG was costings. Now, these units are coming in super cheap. This is how cheap, basically. This came in at $9.80. The pump was $4.50. All the copper work and all the fixtures were around $2.80. The aluminium, the wood, $2.20, and the trolley was $80. Powerboard was $20. Gas bottle was $75. And what else? And I've got to make the checker plate to submerge the gas bottle so it don't get frozen. But we came up to a grand total and did all the maths. It was $2,246, and it took me 20 man hours roughly. If you do decide to make one, give me a call, and I'll tell you where I went wrong and where I wasted a lot of time. But I reckon now if I had to make one, it'd take me about 8 hours to this standard. But I do go back to the original. If you're new in the game, get a diesel boiler. Start out with diesel, and this is a backup for when your diesel breaks or you've got a difficult access site. So diesel's a winner. This is a poor man's method or a difficult access. So thanks for tuning in. I hope this episode has helped you. Or if you're thinking about making one, you can use this as a blueprint. And episode 11 is I've sort of come up. It's not a new idea. I'm just making a new product for pulling our patches and guided inversions in easier. It's based on the basically a pulley, and I'm going to mount it on an extendable pole, and then it's going to have like a little grabber, and then it means you can hook onto those inlets when we pull our patches in through slope junctions on the shaft. You're not chafing, and it'll be much easier, and we'll get our patches in easier. So going to make that, trial it and do an episode on it and show you how it works. So I'm Adam Whalen from REH Reline Equipment Hire. Love your lining. I do. Have a good day. See you later. Bye bye.